Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to work on lesson 7 out of the book. And lesson 7 deals with typography. Now, Photoshop has pretty strong typographic design features, not as strong as Adobe InDesign or Adobe Illustrator. Nonetheless, you're still able to make type that is able to be scaled and resized and remain crisp in vector-based outlines. So what we're going to do today is use this file 07start.psd. This is pretty much the file we created in lesson 6, except it's kind of renamed and it's in the download section of the classroom website. So go ahead and open this file up and we'll get started right away. The first thing you want to do is change the workspace from essentials to typography. And if you go up here to the top right hand side of your workspace, you'll see this drop down menu and change it from essentials to typography. And what that does is it gives us these panels over here on the right. It has our character panels, our paragraph panels, character styles, etc. So this is going to be helpful for us. So we have to go ahead and always be opening windows up. So when you're working on typographic layout, it's a good idea to change it to the typography workspace. Now, the next thing you want to do is to show your rulers. Mine are already shown. I'll take those away real quick. And to get those brought up again, you go to Window, and then you go, you go to View, down to Rulers, and it will show the rulers. Or you can hit Command or Control R to bring those up. Now, what we want to do with our rulers is drag out what's called a smart guide, and those are over here. If you start in the ruler, click in the ruler and drag over to the right, it'll bring out this guideline, and it tells you the number. So the number is how far you are from the edge. So we are 3.6 inches. We want to be at 4.25 inches from the edge, which is actually the center of this image because it's 8.5 inches wide. We can do the same thing if we wanted to from the top and drag that down to the middle. It's 11 inches tall, so it'd be about 5.5 inches would be the center, or 5.25. It looks like it's about 10.5 inches tall, actually. Yeah, it's 10.5 inches tall. Anyhow, these are smart guides. These will help us to lay out designs and text. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and grab our text tool, which is located over here in our tool menu. It's actually, the real name is the horizontal type tool, but it's this capital T over here. And if we click on that and grab that, we can start to lay out some typography. Now to add this point type, we want to click anywhere on this line above his head, so we'll add that right about here. And then the book tells you how to set this up. So for this, we want to select the horizontal type tool, choose a serif typeface such as Minion Pro Regular. So let's go up here and find Minion Pro Regular. There it is. And then we want to select 144 for the type. That's the size of the point of your type. So I'm going to come up here and I can either click on this box and hit 144, hit enter, or I could roll over here, and when this little arrow pops up, this is actually a slider, and I can slide this up and down if I wanted to, but either way you want to do it. 144, and we want to do click from the text from the center. So this is like in any Word document program. This is left justified, center justified, right justified. We want to be center justified, and then we want to set in the character panel over here. We want to set our tracking value, which is the space between letters, and it affects the density of the line of text. That we want to set the tracking number to 100. So let's move that to 100, or let's click in here and type in 100, and then we'll start to type. And they want us to type the word digital, all capital letters. Now, my computer is acting a little slow right now, so let me have it catch up. Digital. Now that's a little bit too big for my workspace, but that's okay. I'll hit enter, And then I can't see the top of my letters, so what I do is go grab my Move tool. As long as my text layer is selected, it says digital over here, I'll click on this and drag this down. Again, it's a little bit too big for the page, so what I can do is make that smaller. I'll go grab my text tool again, click on my line of text, I'll double click it to select all, and then I can go down over here to my slider and move this to the left and bring this text a little bit smaller to fit the page. I like that how that works. I'll hit enter or I'm going to hit the check mark up here. Now my text is on top of the model's hair and shadow. I want that to be essentially behind his hair. So what I'm going to do is drag that layer below the model layer, and now the word digital is below our model here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to select a different typeface that's a little more appropriate for the word digital. This looks a little maybe bookish or antiquated. So what we want to do is give it a little more hip text or type. So again, with the type tool, selected horizontal type tool, click on it, and then you can go and actually look and click on different, or just kind of roll over different typefaces to find a more appropriate typeface. The one in the book they have you choose is Myriad Pro semi-bold, so we'll go down there and find Myriad Pro semi-bold, click on that. That's the more appropriate typeface. And again, I'm going to make this a little bigger to fit my page a little better. So that looks really good. And I'm going to hit enter. I think in the book they have the color of the type being black, so I'll change that to black just to be in line with the book. And to do that, again, click on the type and then go up to this white box up here. Click on that and then drag that down. This little circle is your color finder. Drag it down to the left-hand corner and changes the type to black. Hit OK. And once I do that, I can either hit check mark up here or hit return to finalize those changes. So now we have the word digital in black with the proper typeface. But what we want to do is set up, we want an image to kind of show through this type behind it. And it's what's called a clipping mask. And we did a little bit of clipping mask before, but just to reiterate, a clipping mask is an object or a group of objects whose shape masks other artwork so that only areas that lie within the clipping mask are visible. In effect, you are clipping the artwork to conform to the shape of the object or mask. In Photoshop, you can create a clipping mask from shapes or letters. So what we're going to do is bring another image into this file, and we're going to create a clipping mask of the word digital so that the image shows through the word digital. To do that, we want to open up the other image, which is an image of a circuit board. So we'll go to File, Open, and we'll go find that. It's under My Lesson 7 Circuit Board TIFF. I'll open this up, and there it is. So we're going to have this rest behind the digital. To do the book has you do it this way. You can go to Window, Arrange, 2 up vertical, and they'll be side by side, and then use your Move tool. And the book has you hold down Shift, because when you hold down Shift, click and shift and drag it over to the other, it's going to go right to the center. So this image is now centered on this page. And then we're going to actually move it up, holding down shift to kind of keep it on that line. But as you can see, it's too big for the page. We want to kind of shrink down the image of the circuit board. So now I'm going to close out this circuit board tab because we don't need it anymore. I'm going to come back over here. My layer 1 we'll call circuit board. Just rename it circuit board. CIRCUITBOARD. And then we're going to actually, with the layer selected, Command or Control T to transform it or transform the scale and the size. And then we'll hold down Shift to keep it in line, and Alt to keep it centered. And as we drag from the corner, Shift will keep the proportion, Alt will keep it from the center, and we'll drag this down to kind of just fit the outside of our word. Oop, don't know how that happened there. Need to zoom back in though for sure. We zoom back in with my keyboard shortcut here. All right. Well, my computer's running behind. That's why There we go. So now the word digital is just below. I'm going to say yes, make that transformation is below. I want to move this circuit board up again. I kind of want this interesting section to show through. So now the circuit board is on top of the word digital, and all we have to do is right-click our circuit board layer and go to create clipping mask, and now we have a clipping mask that is linked to this digital text. So now the image shows through the word digital. And we can go ahead, with our circuit board still selected, we can move around that layer to find more interesting positions if we want to. I kind of like it right about there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a drop shadow within the word digital. And to do that, we want to be on our digital layer and then go down here to FX and click Inner Shadow. So FX, or the Effect button, is located at the bottom of your layer panel. So with the type digital selected, the type layer digital selected, go down to the FX button, click that, which is actually called the Add a Layer Style button. Click that and go to Inner Shadow. And this will give us this dialog box, and we can control this shadow here. The book has you do 48, I kind of have it preset up, but 48% for the opacity. The distance is 18 pixels. The choke is 0, and the size is 16. But go ahead and play with these to see what this does, and it gives you a live preview of what it looks like. The size of the spread is 16 pixels. The distance is 18. See what it looks like when you drag the distance up to 69. It looks like it's further away from the background. So pick something that's pleasing to your eye, that makes sense for you. And you can also change the angle of light if you wanted to. It's kind of interesting. So I think it was at 130, I was at 120 before. Anyhow, there we go. And then click OK. And now we have this nice drop shadow, gives it a little bit of depth added to our document. I just hit tab there to hide that panel. Didn't mean to, but there we go. We have it back. And now you want to save your work. Command S or Control S to save your work. The next thing you want to do, the book has you do, is type on a path. This is kind of a neat thing that you can do. You can create paths in Photoshop using the pen tool over here. But to type on a path, we're going to select the background layer, and we're going to go to the path option over here. And there's already this speech path loaded. We're going to click on that. As you can see, this path pops up that's kind of coming out of the model's face here. So what we're going to do is type on this path so it looks like he's maybe saying something. So once we have that selected, we'll find our type tool again, and then we'll go up here. We'll click Right Align on the text. And the book has you find Myriad Pro Regular this time. We're going to use Myriad Pro Regular. And we're going to use, the font style will be regular. The font size is 16 point, so we don't want 144 point, we want 16 point. We want our tracking to be set to -10 this time. And we'll find that here. Here's our tracking. And we're going to set that to -10. So if the slider doesn't work well for you, which sometimes is a little tricky, I'm just going to go in here and click in here and select -10. And then once we have all that done, we move the, in all caps again. That's the last thing to do. Make sure you have all caps selected here. TT is all caps. It's capital TT. We're going to go over our path. And as we roll over our path, our cursor will change from this little bounding box to this diagonal line, which kind of shows you it's going to type on this path. And we're going to set the point closest to his mouth. And since we have right aligned text, it's going to start, it's going to align to the right side. And what we're supposed to type in here is what's new with games? Question mark. Now the book wants you to use white text or white font. So to do that, we'll just highlight our text with our type tool. We'll go up to this box again for color over here, or over here in our character panel for color. And then we'll drag our cursor up to the top left-hand side, and it changes the type to white. And we'll click OK. The next thing the book has you do is make games bolded. To do that, you select the word games and come over here, and this is the faux bold or bold option. Or we can come up here and do bold type if we wanted to. So there we go. So what's new with games? Now we have this selected, and this looks all great and good, and we'll hit the check mark up here to sort of say yes, make the changes. Now we want to go back to our layers panel, and what we can do is duplicate this layer, drag this layer down to the create new layer button, and now we have a new layer. It's called the copy. We want to change the name of this to what's new with what do they want us to say? What's new with music? And question mark. That doesn't actually change the word music over here. It just changes the name of the layer. What we need to do now is with this layer selected, change the word to music. So we're going to highlight that and say music here. As you can see, it's kind of messed up the spacing, and it's because our what's new with music layer overlaps our what's new with games layer, and they're kind of blurred together. So what we need to do is select the move tool and move that layer down, and now we can see both those layers. What we do now is, again, Command or Control T to sort of shift these around. And this one is supposed to be above the what's new with games layer, and it looks like it's coming out of his mouth there. So we use the transform free transform shortcut, Command T or Control T, to rotate this and have it come out of his mouth above the what's new with games. And we'll hit return for that. They have you mimic this again, and you do what's new with phones. Go ahead and do that in your book, and then you're going to work on warping this point type. So you're actually going to warp the type to make it look like it's kind of wavy. You're also going to design some paragraphs of type using guides for positioning. Pretty simple stuff. The rest of the stuff in this book is pretty straightforward. Make sure you read the little extra boxes in yellow in this chapter, in this lesson. One's called Open Type in Photoshop. Go ahead and read that. And at the very end of this lesson, there's a very important little extra box here with information in it called Saving as a Photoshop PDF. Please read that. It's really important. What happens when we save this as a JPEG or a TIFF file is it would rasterize the type, and that way we can never make this larger or smaller, or actually we couldn't enlarge this very well without losing detail in our type because it's going to rasterize or make the type pixels. Well, we want to keep this type as a vector format, so to do that we're going to go to save as the Photoshop as a PDF, and that way this will help us to save this file and maintain the vector quality of the type. Again, you might not know what that means, but for now, just go ahead and read that little saving as a Photoshop PDF tidbit in the end of the lesson. And we're going to talk more about vector artwork and rasterized artwork in the next lesson, which is vector drawing techniques. So thanks again, and make sure you get this lesson completed on time and the project associated with this lesson on time. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or text me, however you want to get a hold of me. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.